Hello everyone, my name is Prithvi and welcome once again to Backstage with Millionaires. So as me and Caleb spoke about in the last week's news video, we are starting a new series called Startup 101 where I'll be talking about basic terms and concepts related to startups and entrepreneurship. In this video, which is the first video for this series, I'm going to be talking about bootstrapping. I'm going to be talking about the definition of it, I'm going to be talking about the process of bootstrapping, and I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of bootstrapping. So going by the most commonly available definition of bootstrapping, it's basically a startup or a company which has started and scaled without the use of any external funding. It might be non-funded or it might be self-funded. So either the company might have not raised any funding at all, or it might have raised any funding from their founders or the founding team. Basically, it means that the company has not sold its shares to any external entity. That is a bootstrapped company. So while a funded company might have a lot of money for scaling, for their day-to-day operations or for marketing their business, bootstrapped companies basically depend on the revenues that they generate or the profits that they make from their business. So that's actually one of the reasons why bootstrapped companies are usually slower than the funded companies in their day-to-day operations or in their scaling, because they don't have a lot of funds available to them which could just be deployed in their day-to-day operations and they could just scale faster. So while talking about pros and cons, while I come at the pros, the first benefit of a bootstrapped company is that the founders or the founding team have total control of the business. So in terms of a funded company, basically whenever they raise some funds, they have to dilute, they have to give some of their shares to the investor that they're raising funds from. Might not be in the first round, but as they're done with raising 4 or 5 rounds or maybe even more than that, they end up diluting more than what they have. There are so many cases in which founders hold less equity than the investors, and this is very common in terms of big companies where they have raised millions and billions of dollars. While whenever there is something about very crucial decision about the company, the founders of funded company might really not have their say in the decision making process. But while talking about a bootstrapped company, because the founders have total control about they have total control on their business, they're completely free to take any decisions that they like to run the business. So talking about the second benefit of a bootstrap company is that the founders usually have a better sense of business. Founders, right from day one, they think about profits and revenue. In terms of a funded company, because they have access to the funding, profit and revenue making usually goes on a backseat, and they really look at scalability in the beginning, and then they look at profits and revenue once they have scaled to a significant level. So in terms of a bootstrap company, because the basics are so strong, because the business has really cared about profits and revenue from day one, they have a better sense of business and they have a better control about the business. So now coming back to the cons, the first negative point of a bootstrapped company is the scale at which the speed at which they scale. So because funded company have fundings with them, they can scale faster. And in terms of bootstrap companies, they cannot scale as fast as the competitive companies, and usually they lag behind in the process. As we know, the world of business, the world of technology, the world is completely changing day by day. Bootstrap companies usually lag behind in that, and they cannot really compete with their competitors who are funded startups. So talking about the second point in the list of cons is the lack of networking that bootstrap companies have. And that's actually a very big misconception that a lot of us have, is that an investor might be an angel investor, might be a VC. They only bring funding to a company, they only bring money to a company, and that's actually one of the very less talked about points. Is angel investors as well as VCs, they have a very large network of their own. They have years of wisdom, that the experience that they have gained over the years, and that really comes in handy in growth of a company. So let's say a VC firm, they can connect their portfolio companies to each other, and they can find some synergies. Let's say a VC company has invested in 2 different companies, so they can connect the founders of these 2 companies, and whether or not they can find some synergies, can work together, and can maybe build some solution. They can also help, let's say connect to some other investors or some other mentors who can really help the company. So that's one thing that bootstrap companies do not have access to. They don't really have access to the network of the VCs and angel investors that the funded companies have. So these were pros and cons of a bootstrapped company. I really hope that you like this video. If you have anything, please feel free to write in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to reply to each one of the comments. While now that you are aware of the concept, we have also done a video about the biggest bootstrap companies in India. You can check that right here. And That's it in this video. I'll see you in the next one.